So now we're going to talk a little bit about energy. Now that you've kind of done those exercises and you kind of get an idea for what we're going at, right? We're trying to map out an energy map, right? To where we want to go and what it feels like. So I love that. I think Albert Einstein said this best, although you probably heard iterations of it. Everything's energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you can't help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And what's amazing is that now we are having so much scientific research that's backing this up. So this isn't just an idea or something that's kind of like pie in the sky, rainbows and butterflies. This is actually physics. It's actually quantum physics in many senses. And so when we realize that we're an energetic universe and that energy becomes matter, and so first it's energy, if we can get ahead of the energy and start stabilizing in the energy that we want, then actually we can kind of predict what matter is going to be materialized for that. So instead of looking at our reality and being like, oh, but this isn't working and this isn't working, therefore it's not working, we're just looking at the energy that we've already materialized. So this is the energy you're already good at stabilizing. So if you want a different reality, you have to stabilize and generate a different energy. And that's when we have to start working on an energy level, not the physical realm of manipulating resources and effort and doing all these things that A plus B equals C. With energy, we're just trying to match the energy. We're trying to find the gap of where we want to be and where we are, and we want to bridge the gap with things that elevate our energy. So the ways in which we do that are through emotions, actions, and thoughts. So for example, think of a limiting thought. Think of a thought that maybe comes across your field every so often, like, oh, I'm never going to get that client, or I'm never going to get the clients that I really want, or, I just feel like I've tried everything, or, I don't know that this is for me, or I don't have the confidence to pitch this to that big client or that company. Those thoughts right there generate negative emotions. And what do negative emotions do? They contract your energy and they cause you to act out of fear. And it's a self-repeating pattern. Conversely, if we can generate positive emotions, which is what you just did in those exercises by thinking of things you loved, congratulating yourself on things that you do well, starting to prepave the energy, you start to generate emotions, which then attract positive collaborative thoughts, which then inspire you for different actions. So we got to get on that wheel and we got to adjust the wheel at whatever access point is easiest. For me, to be honest, you guys, thoughts are not the easiest one to arm wrestle, because if you've ever tried to change a limiting thought from a thought, who's had success with that for very long? It's really hard because we get trapped in thinking, and more thinking can't counteract an energy, which is really behind the thoughts. It's a retractive energy like fear or a devaluing of the self. So we want to kind of stop wrestling with thoughts and generate positive emotions any way we can. We also want to do actions that make us feel better, which then produce positive thoughts, right? So think of this wheel, and if you're stuck on a place on the wheel, we got to change one thing. So choose your access point that allows you the greatest access to raise your energy, because that's what we're trying to do. If you've ever read David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, he talks about substantial research he did about the energy of emotions, and that there are emotions that have an upward spiral and they have a high frequency to them, and their energy that are downward spiraling, which generally contract our energy. Most of us have memorized emotional states, and we have kind of like those set points where we're like, I'm really comfortable in this emotional zone. This one feels scary, or this feels scary. So oftentimes if we want to expand, we have to raise our emotional set points, which means we have to do different things, think different thoughts. And so it's important to know where you're falling on the emotional scale at any level, and to realize how can you do some things to spiral you up so that you don't continue spiraling down. That is not to say that we're not going to have moments in which we have a hard day or we experience emotions like guilt or shame or grief. We just don't want to stay there forever and get stuck there and let those give us permission to continue to wobble and doubt ourselves. So that's where I said we start with awareness. We want to start with that and be able to allow ourselves to be allies in building up our emotional scale. So if you've ever, has anyone heard of the HeartMath Institute? So they're a great research. If you have never checked them out, you can check out. They have lots of free videos and resources. Also, Dr. Joe Dispenza has a lot of great research. But the really cool thing, you guys, is that epigenetics is now having proof that our gene expression can be altered by our emotional states. And this can affect anything from our mental, emotional health, to our immunity, to how we fight disease and illness, to also our physical attributes and how we're expressing certain things. So which gives us even more emotional power to know that those positive emotions that we generate, it not only makes us healthier, it actually predicts what's going to be expressed in our genes. And to truly create different realities for ourselves, we have to be different people, which means we need new genes to be expressed. We do that through emotions. Emotions like joy, gratitude, hope, care, compassion. So it doesn't have to be the highest emotional scale. Even finding appreciation or compassion for ourselves or others can be really powerful. Alignment of purpose is a huge one. And what that means is that it's not just doing things to make money or doing things to do them, but most of you, I'm sure, know your alignment of purpose. And when you're doing that, it feels good in your heart. It actually generates those positive emotions. When we're truly kind to ourselves and kind to others, that opens our heart. And even just intentional breathing into our heart starts to open up the heart space. And these are all ways that we start to change and emit a different frequency in our life. Has anyone heard of heart coherence? So you can raise your hand or put in the chat bar what you think heart coherence is. Does anyone know what heart coherence is? So heart coherence is something that happens with our mind and our brain. Did you know that the heart is a separate organ that has its own set of wisdom? They've been able to prove that the heart actually can predict things that are happening through how it feels. Like we can actually feel things before they happen. And that actually there's more signals going from our heart to our mind than our mind to our heart. The heart is a very intelligent organ, and it has a lot to do with where our mind goes as far as fight, flight, freeze or appease, and whether we feel that state of safety, of security, of connection, of being able to use our higher mind. And the way we develop heart coherence is that we generate positive emotions by breathing into our heart. So we connect this, and what happens is actually you'll find over time that your heart rate starts to even out. When we're stressed, when we're fragmented, the heart rhythm actually starts to vary. And then it actually tells the mind, stress, stress, stress. And so we actually start to diverge with our thoughts, which means we have a more limited view of problem solving. Our perceptions become more risk aversive. So it leads to a whole host of things. So what we really want is that heart coherence, because when we do that, we open up and access wisdom that we wouldn't normally have. So important and vital. So if you've never done that, again, like I said, the HeartMath Institute has amazing studies and videos. They're free that you can watch. So I highly encourage, like, read the research, find out more about it.